Hey, what's up? It's your buddy Jamie here from Sharon at Sea. If you spend any time at all watching our channel, then you've seen how passionate Sharon, Matthew, and myself are when it comes to cruising. I mean, we love cruising. We will scream from the rooftops that it is the best option for a family vacation going on today. We will talk for hours on end with someone, telling them why they should go cruising and what we love about it. Now sure, every once in a while we come across somebody who just refuses to go on a cruise. They say it's not for them, they don't want to, they've heard all the reasons why they shouldn't. Well, today I'm going to talk to you guys about 10 reasons why people refuse to go on a cruise and why those people are wrong. I'll be back right after this. Alright, hey, really quick, if you are into cruise content and cruise-oriented stuff on YouTube, we'd love for you to give us a chance and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check us out on our Monday Night Live show, and make sure you hit the notification bell so you're always aware when we have new content coming out here from Sharon at Sea. Thanks a lot, we appreciate that. Alright, so let's get back to the top 10 reasons why people refuse to cruise and why they're wrong. Reason number 1, people are afraid that the ship might break down. Now listen, I'll give you that every once in a while in the news you hear a report about a ship having some mechanical issues. I mean, those things are gonna happen. I mean, heck, I can go out and buy a Rolls Royce and that thing can break down as well. But number 1, in most cases, any issues are fixed right away and the cruise ship is back up and running like normal. And number 2, when you think about it, there are over 16,000 cruises that go on each year. Okay, there's over 300 cruise lines out there. Each week they go on a cruise, some a little shorter, some a little longer, but you average over 16,000 cruises a year. And maybe what, a half dozen, maybe 8, maybe 10 times you'll hear about a cruise breaking down in its travel somewhere and having to get repaired. And yeah, once or twice you heard about the nightmare cruise where they had to get towed in. I mean, that could happen, sure, but look on the bright side. If that does happen, you're gonna get refunded for your cruise. You're probably going to get a free cruise in the future. You may end up getting a few extra days out of the deal. And what Sharon, Matthew, and I always do is we always make sure we get a balcony. So God forbid something goes wrong, we'll just hang out on our balcony and enjoy the view. So for those of you who say they refuse to go on a cruise because the ship might break down, you are wrong. It's not a good reason. All right, number 2, people say the cabins are too small. Hey listen, the average cabin on a cruise ship is going to be about half the size of what you might get from a hotel room, you know, a standard size hotel room. It's going to sleep anywhere from 2 to 5 people. Couches turn into beds. You'll have beds that come out of the wall, beds that drop down from the ceiling. I mean, they're going to fit you in there, and it is close quarters. But the reality is the cabin is really just there for you to sleep in. You know, you wake up, you get showered, you get changed, and you're out and about. You're out on the ship, you're in port, you are outside enjoying all the things that the cruise ship has to offer. Now, if you want a little bigger cabin, you can spend a few extra dollars and get a suite, or a junior suite, a mini suite, or any kind of suite that you want. And I did mention, if you want extra room, make sure you get that balcony. It gives you an opportunity to step out of your cabin and onto an extra area, and you can get that fresh air and really enjoy the cruise that much more. But if you're refusing to go on a cruise because you say the cabin is too small, I think you're just plain wrong. Number 3, people say they refuse to go on cruises because excursions cost too much money. Well, I would challenge those people and say, hey, have you ever tried to book a guided tour anywhere in the area that you live in? I mean, it's going to cost a couple of $100s. And if that excursion includes food, drinks, if it's all inclusive, it'll even cost more. I mean, you can get into a cruise port, get off the ship, walk to a beach, walk into town, and spend a great day with your family for a pretty inexpensive amount. And of course, you can book those excursions through the cruise ship, and that will cost a few extra dollars, but if you're comfortable doing it, you could book an excursion outside of the cruise ship, and you will save a lot of money, you will have a more privatized tour, and you'll probably enjoy it a lot more too. It'll be less crowded and more personal. So if one of your reasons for refusing to cruise is that excursions cost too much, I'm going to tell you right now, I think you're wrong. Alright, the number 4 reason why people refuse to go on cruises is because they don't want to follow a strict schedule while they're on vacation. Well, yeah, you're right, there's an itinerary. You're in a different place each day. There's activities you can do that are set by a timetable on the cruise ship. But guess what? You don't have to follow any of that schedule. Heck, nowadays you don't even have to go to the dining room until you want to if you choose anytime or your time dining options. So although you could follow a schedule if you want to, guess what? On the cruise you could do absolutely nothing. And you could do it totally on your own timetable. Wake up when you want, go to bed when you want. You could lay out on a chair for hours on end and not do a darn thing. So if one of your reasons for cruising is because you don't want to follow a strict schedule, guess what? I'm here to tell you, I think you're wrong. All right, the number 5 reason why people refuse to go on a cruise is they say people always get sick on a cruise. Hey, well, you know, if you put anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 people in close quarters, well, there's going to be germs. I'm not going to deny that. But you're not going to get any more sick on a cruise than you would on an airplane, at the mall, at school, or any other event or activity where there's going to be a lot of people in close quarters. Now, you hear about some crazy things. Sure, there's a ship every once in a blue moon that has a norovirus outbreak or something like that. Now, you might also heard of something called the cruise crud. Yeah, I guess that's kind of real. I mean, you can catch germs and catch a cold. But stuff like norovirus is incredibly rare when you consider the amount of cruises and people that are on the ships. And you can be proactive and take some extra vitamin C and things like that. Take precautions, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer, stuff like that when you're cruising to make sure that you are as far from the germs as possible. So I'll tell you, if your reason for not going on a cruise is because you're afraid that you're gonna get sick, man, I think you're wrong. Okay, now here's a good one. I know you hear about this kind of thing every once in a while. The number 6 reason why people refuse to go on cruises: I might fall overboard. Yeah, every once in a while you hear a story about that, and it's tragic. But I'll tell you what, 2 things that I know are gonna be true. Number 1, usually if someone goes overboard, there's an incredibly heavy amount of alcohol involved. Or number 2, if someone goes overboard, they meant to do it. Anything other than those 2 reasons is going to be ridiculously rare. Now, I mean, listen, since the year 2000, there have been roughly a little over 300 reported cases of people going overboard on cruise ships. In the year 2019 alone, they're estimating 25 million people to go on cruises. I mean, if those numbers don't convince you that you're not going overboard, then I don't know what else to tell you. But if one of the reasons that you refuse to go on a cruise is because you think you're gonna fall overboard, I'm telling you what, you're wrong. All right, the number 7 reason why people refuse to go on a cruise: none of the workers on the cruise speak English. Well, listen, that reason is just wrong in so many ways. Number 1, there are plenty of people that speak English. Now, there may not be many people that speak what you know is the Americanized English, but quite often you'll find people from England, Britain, and countries like that in certain positions, cruise directors, things like that, entertainment people that do speak English, the real English. And as far as the rest of the folks, listen, those folks are from foreign countries, at least foreign to us here in the US. And there's a good reason why you don't see a lot of people from America working on cruise ships. The wages just aren't that great, and being apart from your family can be pretty tough. The cruise ships don't necessarily pay a very competitive wage as far as American wages and salaries go. But the folks working on that cruise ship that do come from other areas of the world, the money they're getting paid is substantially more, quite often, than the amount of money they could get paid at home. And that's a great, great way for them to support their families. They regularly send that money back to the people they love back home. I'll tell you another thing too, strike up a conversation with one of those folks working so hard on a cruise ship. You can learn a little bit about them, their family, who they are, where they came from, a little about their culture, and you might really find it pretty rewarding. Now, sure, every once in a while you might have a little bit of a language barrier. It's kind of hard to understand what they said. Well, then ask them to repeat themselves politely, and I'm pretty sure they won't mind doing it. But I'll tell you what, Sharon, Matthew, and I have had many, many amazing cruises, and we have encountered tons of tremendous people. And in reality, they're a lot like you and I. They have family, friends, people they miss, children, loved ones, and they're just there to work hard to take care of them. So if you refuse to cruise because folks don't speak English, I'm sorry, but I gotta tell you right now, you are wrong. All right, the number 8 reason why people refuse to go on cruises: cruises are just too expensive. Whoa, 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 I gotta stop you right there. Maybe back in the day, cruises were for the upper crust, the upper class. But in this day and age, cruises are one of the most affordable ways to go on vacation with your family. I'll tell you what, compare the price of a cruise to a week at Disney World or Disneyland. Cruises are usually gonna be cheaper. Another reason cruises are very affordable is that you can book a cruise that's not gonna happen until a year from now. And you can put a small amount of money down today, and you can pay a little and a little and a little each month until you are paid off about 45 days before that cruise sets sail. And when you get on that cruise, everything is then paid for. Your room and board is paid for, a majority of all your meals, basic drinks not including alcohol and certain beverages are going to be paid for. You could get on that ship and technically not spend another dime if you didn't want to. And you would eat well and have an amazing vacation. The only extra money you're going to spend is for booze, gambling, ports, souvenirs, different things like that. So if you compare how much you'll spend in total on a cruise versus what you'd spend on any other week-long family vacation, I'm here to tell you, cruises are competitive and quite often less expensive than what you would imagine. So if your reason for not going on a cruise is because it's too expensive, I am sorry, but you are wrong. Alright, the number 9 reason why people refuse to go on a cruise. I need to keep in touch with everyone at home, and I can't do that on a cruise ship. Well, maybe back in the day they were kind of right. The only thing you could do was to pick up the phone in your cabin, make a phone call back to land, and pay a huge amount of money to do it. But in this day and age, things are much, much different. Every ship out there has a Wi-Fi package. You can pay a couple of bucks a day or a little bit of money for the week or whatever to utilize. Some ships are better than others, but you can use a whole combination of different applications on your phone and things like that so that you can keep in touch with everyone back home, whether it's work-oriented, whether it's personal, whether the kids are staying at grandma and grandpa's house and you just need to call them each night and say goodnight, or whatever the case is, you can find a way to communicate with them. Plus, if you get off in port and you follow anyone that works on the cruise, they will usually end up at a local establishment that offers fantastic and usually free Wi-Fi that you can tap right into and make calls home or use the internet to communicate, email, Facebook Messenger, anything else like that. So although sometimes it's nice just to get on a ship and unplug, if you can't unplug and you need to stay in touch with folks at home, there are ways to do that now on every and any cruise ship out there. It'll cost you a few dollars, but if you need to call home, you'll probably feel like it's worth it. So if your reason to not go on a cruise is because you need to keep in touch with everyone back home, I gotta tell you, you can do it. So guess what? You're wrong. Alright, the number 10 reason why people refuse to cruise. They are afraid that they are going to get left behind in port. People go on the internet, they see all the cool videos about the pier runners. Someone gets left behind in port. What are they going to do now? Well, first off, you're right. If you get left behind in port, it's going to cost you a good chunk of change to get to the next port and get back on the ship because it is your responsibility. And sure, every once in a while, that does happen to someone. But if that thought causes you to not go on a cruise, I think that's just crazy. Number 1, if you book your excursion through the cruise ship, they will guarantee that you get back on the ship. The ship will literally wait if you are on an excursion that is delayed for any reason, and it will wait there until you get back. Number 2, as long as you pay attention and you're aware of port time versus ship time and things like that, and you plan ahead and you don't try to push the envelope and stay off the ship too long, you're going to get back on the ship quite easily. Heck, in over 25 cruises, I don't think we've ever had a time where we were truly concerned that we weren't going to get back on the ship in time. And nowadays, most all of our excursions are done where we book them ourselves. It's rare that we actually use a cruise-based excursion. Heck, if you do book an excursion outside of the cruise ship, many of them guarantee that you will get back to the ship or they will pay to get you to the next port. And they do that because they do not want the bad press. So I'm here to tell you, if your reason for not going on a cruise is you're afraid you're going to get left behind in port, guys and gals, I'm sorry, but you're wrong. Now I know that was 10 reasons right there, but I'll tell you what, today, your buddy Jamie has one extra bonus reason for you guys. Number 11 reason why folks refuse to go on a cruise. It's just too crowded. People say it's just too crowded on the cruise ships. Now you're going to get on a cruise ship and there can be anywhere from 2,500 to 5,000 other people. And if you decide to do things at the same time that other people are doing them, you may run into a little bit of a crowd. But I'm here to tell you it is really, really easy to avoid the crowds. The 2 most crowded places you're going to find on the cruise ship are the buffet area when it's time to eat and the pool area in the middle of the day. So check it out. When you go to eat in the buffet, if you eat in the buffet, go a little bit earlier or a little bit later than the traditional times. Okay, if it's lunchtime, go more towards 11. Maybe go more towards 1:30. Don't go right at noon. Same thing if it's breakfast time. Not to mention there are so many alternative options now on cruise ships where to eat that quite often you can find a spot that not many other people know about if you do your research and have an amazing meal in peace and quiet. Now as far as the pool area goes, yeah, I'm not going to disagree. It's the most crowded place on the ship midday on a sea day. So if you want to go to the Happen and Lido deck area, get there earlier in the day and get a good spot. And then as the day progresses and starts to fill up, find a different place on the ship to lay out and relax. Try an upper deck where you get a little bit of a breeze. Try the aft pool area where it may not be as crowded. Or just get your sun time in early in the day and then get up, get out of there and go enjoy the rest of what the cruise ship has to offer. But if you plan it right, you do your research, and you don't do things at the same time others are going to do them, then you're going to find plenty of ways to enjoy yourself without being elbow to elbow and cheek to cheek with everyone else on the cruise ship. There is always a quiet place you can find to relax and enjoy yourself on a cruise. If you refuse to cruise because the ship is too crowded, I am here to tell you once and for all that you are wrong. Alright, so hey, I hope you enjoyed listening to these 10 reasons why people refuse to cruise and why they are wrong. Again, if you're into cruising content on YouTube and on the internet, we'd love for you to give us a chance by subscribing to the channel and checking us out on a regular basis. Watch our Monday night live show at 9 p.m. Eastern. Come see us on Facebook at the Sharon at Sea Cruise Crew. Hit the notification bell on YouTube so you're always aware of new content. Thank you so much for spending a little time with me. I really appreciate it. And from myself, Sharon, Matthew, and everyone here at Sharon at Sea, thank you and happy cruising.